Hello Booktube, this is Dario and welcome to Motley Reads. A bit different scenery than what you're used to. It is not any of my rooms in my house, it's actually a hotel room. I'm currently in Switzerland and I'm here in work. After 3 months of a total shutdown of the borders and possibilities to travel in Europe, most of the European Union countries, including Switzerland, UK and Norway, have opened their borders for travelers. And in Sweden, Swedish travelers are allowed to travel to most of the countries in Europe. Among of them is Switzerland as well. And in Switzerland, in my work, I travel a lot to Switzerland. We have a business down here, so I utilize the opportunity to actually be on a first plane to Zurich on Monday morning. So now I'm here in Zurich. I'm at the airport. We will be flying back home to Sweden tomorrow morning. There are very few connections available, so there are no flight this evening, so I need to sleep over at the airport and take first flight early tomorrow morning. Quite bored here alone in my hotel room, and then I thought I could do a video, and I would like to do a video, but I don't have any books actually to show, and so I thought I need to find some theme, some tag that doesn't require no tags really require showing books, but I like showing books that I have. So I thought, maybe I should take some tag that I don't feel that I need to show books. So actually I did find one, and this is the one that I'm gonna talk about now. This is the Nonfiction book tab, the Nosy edition. It was created by Sean D. Standfast. So this is the one that I'm going to do now. So let's start. First question: what subject or area of non-fiction did you begin with? Was it history, biography, science, economics, archaeology, anthropology, math, etc., etc.? Was there a specific event, person, or book that set you on your path? Now, non-fiction, I really started reading non-fiction of my own choice quite late. Actually, I was 18, 19 years old when I started doing that. Before that, I was reading a lot non-fiction that I never again came back to. I don't know if you could characterize it that way. Namely, it's I grew up in former Yugoslavia. It was a communist country, and as a kids we read lots of fiction, and I've been reading a lot of fiction. But the only non-fiction actually that was very popular to be read, at least where I was living, it's all stuff that is related to partisans during World War II, Revolutionary War, the victory of communism, and that kind of stuff. So we've been reading that in school, and I was reading that extracurricularly and so on. But that wasn't. I wouldn't really characterize that as a kind of a reading non-fiction that I would think of right now. So I started really reading non-fiction when I was 18 or 19. And the area that I was very interested in was science. It's physics, mathematics, history of science. Very much, when it comes to physics, history of physics back in 30s, during the period of these great scientists like Einstein, Bohr, Pauli, Heisenberg, and so on. So I read really a lot about that, and it wasn't really any specific event that led to that. It was just interest that awoke, and it started already. My interest in physics started already during elementary school, and I chose actually physics as my subject, special subject. When you could do first elective courses when you were like 12 years old, then I chose physics, and I was quite interested in that back then. So this was something that led me into into exploring that field. Question number 2. Where did you get your first books from to feed your new passion? Was it library, borrow from friends, family, or purchasing? Did you have any guidance from anyone? And my first books I got from library, from public library, and it was actually in Swedish published library. So I was at that time already living in Sweden. I came as a refugee here when I was 18 years old here, not in Switzerland, in Sweden, where I live now. So I borrowed in a public library, and then after a while I started purchasing books. And first book that I purchased in that area, I think it was A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. I remember that was one of the first ones I purchased. In the popular science area. Number 3, is your first love still the love of your non-fiction reading life, or was it a gateway to other subjects that took over as number 1? It is not anymore. I do occasionally jump in and read something from the field, but not really. I read quite a lot in non-fiction. I like reading a lot of non-fiction. It's mostly within the humanities, actually. A lot of within areas of history and ancient history in particular. Archaeology, I read a lot from, and also works of political philosophy. I do read that as well. So not very much science nowadays, unfortunately. Okay, number 4. Did you pursue any of your interests with formal education at university level? If so, what level did you finish, and was it the experience you had hoped for and expected? Have you made it your profession? Yes, I did. I did study with formal education at university level, actually in the field of engineering. And the level I finished is a PhD. I have a PhD in mechanical engineering. And the experience was it was a lot of fun actually to study. Within that area, it was a lot of fun to do research, to go to grad school and to do my PhD project. It wasn't, though, at the end of the day, very much what I hoped for and expected, really, because I was watching the Steve Donahue's video, and he was ranting about more or less brain dead academics and against academic education system. And I was laughing when I was looking at that video, because I could recognize a lot there. I was formally employed at university, was working at university for years, and teaching and also running a research center before I left it all and went into management consulting and subsequently into business, in general management positions. But up until that point, until I left, actually I was in academia, very active in a research community, in education. I was extremely frustrated. I was extremely frustrated by lack of rigor in academic research. I was extremely frustrated by complete methodological ignorance. The treatment of everything from data handling, hypothesis generation, hypothesis testing, the formal way of building knowledge. That was it's really it's a theory. It's more philosophers who are talking about that. No researchers, at least not in these fields, are really concerned with that. It was really kind of a scary experience in a way, to see how things are done many times in scientific community. Also how far some research teams could go into navel gazing and being really completely lost in the methods that they are developing, and very often lost in math. I was watching an excellent video by Mark Nash about the book Lost in Math. I was also laughing and thinking about my experience in academia, where the researchers get lost in the modeling language, which is mathematics, and searching truth in the modeling language rather than the objects that they are studying. Also, quite a lot of all these political feuds between academics, the grant system, how it works, that people who really don't make it in academia, then they go and actually they are the ones that deciding who is going to get grants. Lots of nepotism at all levels. It was just to me, I really didn't like that place. After I got my PhD, that's when you actually see all this stuff. Up until you get your PhD, you're just concerned with your project, and you're working with your buddies, and people are young and hungry and want to do something. But from the moment you get your PhD, become a senior researcher, and then you get into this swamp that really kills your soul, and then you sit there, and then you become bitter, and then you start being that boring brain-dead teacher. So that wasn't really something that I really liked. So yeah, I took a bit different path, and still in the businesses that I'm managing, they are very engineering heavy or scientific heavy. Right now I'm in medical technology. It is quite demanding, intellectually demanding business, and it's very high level of rigor that I really enjoy, and I think that my background is helping me in that work. So partially I do work with that, but not really in a way that I thought that I will once I started. Okay, Number 5, if you have maintained that first interest all of your life, do you feel you should have pursued other interests of subjects? So I partially maintain that interest. I really love humanities, and I don't know, if I would say that I should have gone into that field instead, because I'm quite happy with where I am, and I also get my dose of humanities, and I have also in parallel with my work aside, without anybody really knowing about that, I'm taking courses and also reading a lot in areas of history and archaeology and so on. So I'm kind of pursuing that dream, on a slow burn, until I get retired, hopefully, and then maybe I'm gonna do something more about that. But humanities, that would be the area that would be an alternative. I don't know if I say that I should have pursued it, but it would be alternative. Number 6, are you now a specialist and read only within the area of nonfiction, or do you branch out? Do you read fiction? If so, what genre do you turn to when you want something lighter, different to read? Well, as specialist, I wouldn't call myself specialist by any definition at all, and I will not get into discussion what a specialist is, but right now I'm clearly a generalist. So and as I said, I read lots of different areas of nonfiction. I do branch out everywhere. I read everything. I do read fiction. I read mostly fiction. Nowadays it goes up and down. Some periods it's mostly nonfiction. Right now I'm very much into fiction. And the genre that I turn to when I want something lighter, different to read, well, before, like 10-15 years ago, it was business books, but now it's just business books, most often they tell me nothing really. Very often I feel they're written by people who really don't know anything about subject. There are lots of generalization of things that are really okay, theoretically might be interesting just to kind of think about it, but practically really not applicable. And things are coming back in different shapes, the same things. So I kind of lost lots of interest in that. And right now I don't know. I read fiction, and that's it's quite light to me in most of the cases. Number 7, if you're a specialist or not, do you prefer academic studies, journal works, or scholarly but not overly academic? If I want to get introduction to a new area, I like general works to start with. You get the overview, and then you can branch out. And I really quickly get into. I read general work, and then I looking for sources. I go to literature and dig deeper into that, and then find the original work. Start reading papers. This is how things start. And I like reading papers. I read papers also when I watch news and they say something it's like 99% of the time they say something that sounds, can it really be? And then I go and dig for a study and figure out no, it's not. But it was nice capture. Okay, so number 8. Do you collect books in your area of interest, or do you read and pass the books on, sell or borrow almost exclusively from library? If you do collect, do you prefer hardcovers or paperback? Do they need to be first editions and in fine condition, or are you happy with an ex-library copy and or underlining in them? Well, collecting books, I don't have any now. I have both my kind of specialty area from back in time, and now all these new areas that I'm exploring. I collect books not with the goal to collect books, but it just happens that I get lots of books when I'm exploring an area. I don't pass on books. I have stopped borrowing out books to people because they don't return them, so I don't give my books to anybody. I don't sell them. I don't throw them away. I realize I will get the problem that I will need to probably move out from my house because my books cannot they don't have enough space. But that's what I do, and I don't prefer hardcovers to paper. I read when I read, actually I prefer reading paperbacks more than hardcovers, to be honest. Even if hardcovers are more beautiful, I prefer paperbacks. They don't need to. I don't care about what the edition is. Condition, just if they are don't falling apart, they are fine for me. I can do with the ex-library copy. I don't really care very much about that. It doesn't need to be new. The only thing I like with the new books, I like to smell them. I like the smell of a new book, which you don't get with the ex-library copy because they don't smell really well. But otherwise, yeah, I don't care. Number 9, do you read or collect exclusively newer publications, or do you enjoy reading what writers had to say on your subject in the past as well? What is the oldest book you have? Either original edition or a reprint of an older book? Yeah, I read from old periods. I don't really. Of course, if I want to know what is latest, then I read what is latest. But I like reading back as well. It is many things don't change fundamentally, and then I also can be interested in the perspectives from past times on things that they've changed over time. So that's what I do. And the oldest book I have, I guess it's within non-fiction area. I have a couple of old books in physics. I think the oldest one is one book. It's called Modern Physics. It's like from 1965. I think that one. Then I have Henry Ford's autobiography. I think it's from 1930s, I think. And then I have Swedish explorer Sven Hedin's explorations from 1911, if I remember right. So that's not very much. I'm not very concerned with collecting all the books. They just, if they come to my shelf, I see they all that look up, from when they are, but that's nothing that I chase really. Okay, number 10. What was the most you have ever paid for a book in your main area of interest? Was it new or used? I don't really know. I paid most for the new books. Within the area of in engineering and physics and so on, the most expensive books, what could it be, like something like 70 euros maybe, that I paid. And the most expensive book that I ever bought was one art book actually. It was 150 euros for it. Big art book it was a book photographs by American photographer Kirsty Mitchell. Her show Wonderland. That was 150 euros, but and it's beautiful. It's really the work of art. The book in itself, it's fantastic. So yeah, so that's it. 11 tag away. Well, this tag has been around for a while, so I don't really know who has done it. Didn't do it. So I'm tagging everybody who didn't do it to do it. It's quite fun, and you don't need to show books. At least I don't need to show books there. So it was, yeah, it's good. All right. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. It became a bit longer than I hoped for. I thought it would be below 20 minutes, but it wasn't. It wasn't that much more than 20 minutes. So I hope watch it. I hope you like it, and looking forward to your thoughts. If you want to comment it, you're welcome. And yeah, so now I'm going to go to bed, and hopefully talk to you soon again during this weekend. I have some ideas. All right, thanks, bye.